What's up guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a great video for you. We are going to be talking about the differences between Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill. Now I get this question all the time when I'm helping clients who are looking to move from San Francisco or looking to move from out of state. They want to move to the East Bay. They're focused on kind of the Walnut Creek area. They always end up asking, what's the difference between Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill? Should I have them both on my radar? What should I be looking at? Well, this video, I'm going to be giving you all of the pros and cons, everything that you need to know. So let's jump right in and check it out. So Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill, they're both highly sought after communities here in Contra Costa County for lots of good reasons, and they're all very justified. And we're going to be diving into all of these topics here in this video. We're going to be talking about housing. We're going to be talking about nightlife, lifestyle. We're going to be talking about amenities, commutes, but what I really want to start with is the location. Now, Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill are adjacent cities, so they're right next to each other. Pleasant Hill is just north of Walnut Creek, and it's almost at the intersection of Highway 24 and 680, but it's really located or kind of centered on Highway 680. When you get to Walnut Creek, which is just south of Pleasant Hill, that's really where you're at the nexus or the intersection of Highway 680 and Highway 24. Both of them are fantastic locations. They're very centrally located out here in Contra Costa County. You can get to lots of neighboring cities like Lafayette, Martinez, Concord, Alamo, Danville very, very quickly from either one of those locations. So from a location perspective, they're both very similar, but they both have something a little bit different to offer when it comes to talking about the commute. So because Pleasant Hill is a much smaller city than Walnut Creek is, it's not quite as expansive. And so pretty much anywhere that you're at within Pleasant Hill, you can get to the freeways within about 5 minutes, which is not the case for Walnut Creek, which I'll talk about in just a second. So regardless of where you are in Pleasant Hill, getting to Highway 680 should take you, like I said, about 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes if there's a little bit of traffic, but it's very easy access to those. And you can also take the back roads through Lafayette in order to get to Highway 24. So from a convenience perspective, and you're thinking about your commute, whether you have to get to Oakland or San Francisco, or you're trying to get into San Ramon or Dublin, any one of these major kind of employment hubs, you have very easy access to the freeways if you're going to be driving to any one of those locations. Pleasant Hill also has its own BART station, and again, same thing, depending upon where you're at in Pleasant Hill, you can get to that BART station, which is right next to the freeway, in just about 5 or 7 minutes from pretty much anywhere you are in Pleasant Hill. Now, Walnut Creek is much more expansive. It's a much bigger city, and so some of the neighborhoods within Walnut Creek are very close to the freeways. You can easily access Highway 680 or Highway 24 from a lot of the neighborhoods there. Walnut Creek also does have its own BART station, which again is right next to the freeway, and it's very convenient for a lot of the neighborhoods within Walnut Creek. However, there are some of the neighborhoods, actually some of the most desirable neighborhoods in all of Walnut Creek, but they are a bit further away from the freeways. So depending upon the day or what time of day your commute is, it could actually take you a good 15 to 20 minutes to just get to the freeways or to get to the BART station. And so if commute is a big deal, that's something that you'll definitely want to take a look at and have on your radar when it comes to Walnut Creek. And when you're comparing it to a city like Pleasant Hill, is how quickly do you want to or need to get to the freeway or to the BART station, because that'll really help dictate, what neighborhoods and what city you want to be looking in. All right, so that's going to lead me right into talking about the communities and the neighborhoods of Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek. So both Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek are very similar in that they're both very family friendly. They both have fantastic communities. When it comes to Pleasant Hill is really well known for being a very tight-knit community, and it is definitely a place where you're going to get to know your neighbors. It is a place where the neighborhoods are very tight-knit, and so if that's something that you're looking for, Pleasant Hill will really absolutely have you covered. When it comes to Walnut Creek again, same thing, very, very family friendly. It's got a great community, but because Walnut Creek is a little bit more spread out, it's not quite as much of a tight-knit community as it is compared to Pleasant Hill. You really can't go wrong in either city if you are looking for a good community and it being very family friendly. But if you really are looking for a very tight-knit community, a place that is known for being very neighborhood friendly and really getting to know your neighbors, definitely check out Pleasant Hill. Now, to piggyback off of the community and the family-friendly vibe, talking about the neighborhoods specifically, there are lots of neighborhoods in both Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill that really give you that neighborhood vibe. You're talking about a lot of tree-lined streets. You'll definitely find a lot of that in Pleasant Hill and within certain neighborhoods in Walnut Creek. And many of these neighborhoods are older communities, properties that have been built in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Also, there are, of course, newer neighborhoods that have built more recently, 90s, 2000s, and even some new construction today. But what I have found is in a lot of the more older established neighborhoods, you're going to find much bigger lot sizes and these places that have a lot of parks, kids riding bikes, playing with the neighbors. And so again, if this is what you're looking for, you really are going to be good in either city. It will just depend a little bit more on the neighborhood in Walnut Creek compared to Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill, that's more kind of across the board because they don't have as much new construction as Walnut Creek has had over the years. So now that we've talked about the communities, the neighborhoods, I really want to talk about the housing. So the housing in Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek are going to have some similarities, but they're also going to have a lot of differences because you're going to have a lot more options in Walnut Creek compared to what you're going to be able to get in Pleasant Hill. So let me quickly start with Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill, a lot of the neighborhoods there, the properties are a lot of ranch style homes. They were properties that were built in the 50s. And depending upon which neighborhood you're in, the size of the home is gonna vary. But the nice thing about a lot of the neighborhoods in Pleasant Hill are the lot sizes. So a lot of the properties that you will get are going to come with a nice front yard and a backyard. So if you are looking for some space to have outdoors for your family to be able to entertain, Pleasant Hill will be great for that. Again, they are a lot of ranch style homes. A lot of them are single story homes. Many were built as 3-bedroom, 1-bathrooms, 3-bedroom, 2-bathrooms. Now, over the years, as people have moved to Pleasant Hill, we have seen a lot of turnover in the properties and people remodeling them. So people expanding, making the homes bigger, remodeling the insides so that they look much more modern and trendy. And that's what you're going to find a lot of in Pleasant Hill. Now, Pleasant Hill does have some neighborhoods where you will find some larger 2-story homes that will be, more like 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. And, there are some neighborhoods there. There is also a little bit of new construction in Pleasant Hill. Now, these are going to be much larger homes. These are going to be, more like 3,000 plus square feet, but they're going to be on much smaller lots, so you will not have as much of a lot or a backyard. But if you're looking for no maintenance, something that you don't really have to keep up with too much, that might be a good option for you. The average price point for Pleasant Hill right now is about $1.2 million. There are some neighborhoods where the price point is higher than that. There are some neighborhoods where the price point is a little bit lower than that as well. But again, the average right now, as I'm recording this video here in April 2025, is about $1.2 million. But there's very low inventory, which means the properties aren't turning over a lot at this point. And so with it being such a highly sought after area, we do have a lot of buyer demand in Pleasant Hill, and that's what we see. Aside from these single family homes, Pleasant Hill does have some townhomes and some condos, but they're very few to choose from. A lot of them are older. There's not a lot of new construction in that regard. But if you are looking to get into a townhome or a condo, if you're buying your first property or something along those lines, you can get it and you can find it in Pleasant Hill. But it's absolutely not going to be like what you can find in Walnut Creek. And so let's segue into Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek has some neighborhoods that are very similar to Pleasant Hill, where they're larger lot sizes, older homes built in the 50s, 60s. Again, ranch style homes, single story. A lot of them were built like same thing, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, but you will get that bigger lot size, which is great. Now, because there are so many different neighborhoods in Walnut Creek, you're also going to have plenty of options when you are looking for bigger homes, 2-story homes, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. And one of those neighborhoods, for example, is Northgate, which is one of the most highly desirable neighborhoods in Walnut Creek, but is mostly larger homes. And again, a lot of these, because they're an older, more established neighborhood, these properties have been purchased over the years, they've been remodeled, and so a lot of variation within there as far as whether the home is outdated or whether it's been upgraded. But you will find many more neighborhoods like that in Walnut Creek. Now, in Walnut Creek though, we also have a lot of condos and townhomes. Now, this is really great because the condos and townhomes, depending upon when they were built, and there are a lot of new construction ones as well, they will vary in price point. So there are condos that you can find around 500, 600, 700,000, and then there are condos or townhomes that will be over $1 million. Now, for the single family homes, the average price point right now is about $1.4 million. Now, there's plenty of properties that are more expensive than that. There are a few few that are lower than that, but when we kind of get down into like the 1.3 or 1.2 range, you're going to find far less inventory. So when the properties do come on the market, they do move very quickly. Now, the other great thing about Walnut Creek and the housing options that you have is that because Walnut Creek has an amazing downtown, which we'll be talking about the downtowns for both cities in just a minute, but there are a lot of condos and even some homes that are very close to the downtown. So if you're looking for a little bit more of an urban lifestyle, places where you can, just walk out of your house or walk out of your condo and walk right into downtown, Walnut Creek will definitely have that for you if that is something that you're looking for. And then of course, if you're looking for more of a suburban lifestyle, that's where all of these other neighborhoods that Walnut Creek has to offer, where you will find these other homes, the ranch style homes, the 2 stories, those will be kind of in the larger metro area of Walnut Creek. And so that's one of the beautiful things about Walnut Creek when it comes to housing and housing options. There are even homes up in the hills. So if you're looking for something that has a little bit of a view, a little bit more privacy, a little bit more secluded, Walnut Creek will have you covered. All right, I wanted to take a quick second to introduce myself. My name is Adam DeBrinch, local real estate agent here in the East Bay. As much as I love making these videos for you, I would love even more to be able to help you with your real estate needs. That number that's popping up below, I do answer all of my own phone calls, emails, text messages. You will get me on the phone. Please do not hesitate to reach out if I can help you with your buying or selling needs. I would love to be a resource for you. That being said, let's jump back into the differences between Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek. All right, so let's talk about the downtowns. We gotta start with Walnut Creek. So Walnut Creek, a destination downtown for all parts of the Bay Area. Lots of people come here on a weekend. Walnut Creek is very well known for its shopping, its restaurants. Of course, the Broadway Plaza is really the anchor for the downtown of Walnut Creek, where you can find pretty much any kind of shopping that you want. All the name brand stores that you could ever think of or imagine are all, in Broadway Plaza. There also are boutique shops that kind of line the streets that are adjacent to Broadway Plaza, like Main Street, for example, has lots of boutique shops as well. And so you get a nice mix of kind of the premier retail high-end shopping that you would expect from Broadway Plaza, but also those boutique shops that you would maybe want to check out as well. And with that downtown, as I mentioned, you get tons of restaurants and dining. And that's really one of the things that has become so amazing about Walnut Creek is we are seeing more and more restaurants pop up, particularly on Main Street and of course Locust Street. In my opinion, Locust Street is just restaurant row. There's restaurant after restaurant, and there's really lots of cool restaurants. There are not a lot of chains there, so you can really find some really fantastic cuisine all throughout Walnut Creek. And again, it's why it become a destination for people to come to on the weekends, date nights, things along those lines. And there's even been kind of a movement of some kind of name brand staples from San Francisco, which is obviously an amazing food city, that are opening up second locations or third locations here in Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek as a downtown is pretty much second to none, when it comes to the East Bay in general and the Bay Area more broadly. So Pleasant Hill, its downtown really doesn't have a shot to compete at all, but Pleasant Hill's downtown does have some attraction to it as well. And so there's a movie theater downtown for Pleasant Hill, and we have seen some more restaurants and breweries popping up in downtown Pleasant Hill. The city of Pleasant Hill also does an amazing job of holding events in the downtown area, which again makes the downtown a real attractive draw. And we're going to be talking about events here in just a minute, but Pleasant Hill does have a nice little downtown area. You can eat some great food there. It's very convenient, especially on a weeknight if you're looking to just get out and go out to dinner, but don't want to travel too far. You really do have some fantastic options in Pleasant Hill. But comparing the two downtowns, Walnut Creek's definitely got it by a mile, and that's going to be a major difference. The nice thing though is because Pleasant Hill is so close to Walnut Creek, getting into downtown Walnut Creek from Pleasant Hill is maybe a 7 or 10 minute drive. So you can easily get there if you're looking to be in downtown Walnut Creek. That brings me right into the events. Now, both cities host lots of events throughout the year. They have lots of activities. I happen to like the events in Pleasant Hill a little bit more than Walnut Creek, only for the reason that they feel, again, I don't know a better word for it besides tight-knit. They're just a little bit more dialed in. They're a little bit more cozy. You're going to see a lot of people that at those events, whereas Walnut Creek, the events are a bit bigger, they can be spread out through downtown or at Heather Farms Park. Heather Farms Park is major park in Walnut Creek, and they host for example, their Art and Wine Festival there, which is a huge event. And so just a little bit bigger event, just bigger crowds, and so they feel a little less personal, a little less intimate, whereas Pleasant Hill, they are fantastic events, but they just feel a little bit more intimate would probably be a good word for it. And so with Pleasant Hill, you have Blues and Brews, you have summer nights by the lake, you have Off the Grid, you have their Arts and Wine Festival. So there's a lot of things happening throughout the year in Pleasant Hill, and because the downtown is much smaller, just a little bit more compact, it just has a great feel when you get to these events and you're doing these things. Walnut Creek is very well known for its Arts and Wine Festival. Broadway Plaza does a summer concert series there, and there are other events that are happening there throughout the year, and particularly the ice rink that they do during the holidays. So again, you're going to get great events in either community, and regardless of which community that you are in, they're easy to get to either one. So if you're living in Walnut Creek and you want to go to the ones in Pleasant Hill or vice versa, again, you're just talking about a 10-minute drive, so you have easy access to either one. But the big thing here is that both cities do an amazing job of bringing the community together and hosting and putting on these really fantastic events. All right, now let's transition into talking about schools, because for a lot of people, and especially clients that I help buy out here, schools for the most part are usually top of mind, and there are some things to call out in regards to schools. Now, first thing, real estate agents, the Department of Real Estate doesn't allow us to really comment on schools and quality and all of those kinds of things. So as I say in all my videos, do your own due diligence. Use resources like greatschools.org, niche.com, Neighborhood Scout, and one that I always recommend to my clients is the Berkeley Parent Network. That's kind of a more local website where parents interact a lot on. They ask people, other parents, for suggestions. Great place to get feedback from people that live in the community, whether it's related to schools or nannies or any of those kind of things. But in general, the schools in Walnut Creek have a very high rating. They have some of the highest ratings throughout the Bay Area. You're going to find a lot of 8s and 9s as far as school ratings in Walnut Creek. Pleasant Hill school ratings are not quite as high, and again, if you go to those websites, you will see that. Now, people that I know that live in the community feel like their kids get a great education, but if schools are really important to you, and the school ratings and what they have to offer and all those kind of things, you will find that as of this video, though, the ratings in Walnut Creek are going to be higher than what you will find in Pleasant Hill. Okay, so the last couple things I want to talk about, differences between Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek, or actually, in my opinion, some similarities. Circling back to the commute, the commute times to the major employment hubs, if you're trying to get to Oakland or to San Francisco, especially in the BART train, they're going to essentially be the same. So there's not really a whole lot to call out there. Maybe a 5-minute difference, as far as your train ride commute time length. As far as if you're driving, again, because there's not a whole lot of difference, and it could depend on the neighborhood that you're in Walnut Creek compared to Pleasant Hill. Again, roughly the commute times, if you are driving, are going to be approximately the same. They could be a little bit shorter from Pleasant Hill because you can get onto the freeway so fast, especially if you're in a neighborhood that is in Walnut Creek that is kind of far away from the freeways. But again, they're going to be kind of comparable. The one thing that I want to call out, though, is that during the commute hours, you will absolutely find a lot of traffic. Highway 680 and Highway 24 during the commute hours do have a lot of traffic, so just prepare yourself for that. If that's not something that you're used to, or you are already used to it, especially if you're coming from a different part of the Bay Area, you are going to find a lot of traffic here. Even on the side streets during the commute hours, for people getting kids to school, people trying to get to the freeways or trying to get to the BART stations, there is some congestions on the roads, and especially some of the major thoroughfares like Tree Boulevard and Ignacio Valley Boulevard in Walnut Creek, where you will find a lot of traffic of people trying to get to the freeways and trying to get to the BART station. So just prepare yourself for some traffic, prepare yourself for some congestion. You're going to find it on the freeways, and you're going to find it on the side roads. Okay, so the last two topics. First, the outdoors and outdoor activities. So if you are into outdoor activities, Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek are going to have easy access to lots of different outdoor spaces. So everything, you have the Briones Regional Park, you have Mount Diablo State Park, you have the trails that are kind of interspersed, the Iron Horse Trail and a few other trails that are sort of interspersed throughout the city, both cities effectively. And so, if you're just looking to go for a jog, walk the dog, you're going to have plenty of, trails that are within the cities. Or if you're looking to get out, do some hiking hiking, do some biking, you want to get out to the regional parks or the state parks, again, you have very, very easy access to Mount Diablo or Briones. Of course, you also have access to the Lafayette Reservoir, which is also very, very close by. So if you're into outdoor activities or that's something that's important to you and your family, you're going to just essentially find, similarity between Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek. There's not much difference there. And the last thing that I want to cover off on is the weather. And again, the weather for Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek are going to basically be the same because they are adjacent communities. But if you're unfamiliar with the weather out here in Contra Costa County, basically what you're going to find in the summertime are very hot days. They're going to be in the 90s, can get into the hundreds, and in the evening times it will certainly cool off, but you will also get some really, really nice summer nights, and that's one of the things that people love about the weather out here. You will also get the transitional seasons for sure. In the fall, you're going to get the changing leaves, very, very pleasant weather. In my opinion, October is one of the best times of year as far as weather goes because it's still warm. The evenings can still be warm, but it's just not quite as hot as it is in the summer. Same thing in the springtime. You're going to get all the leaves coming back, and again, very, very pleasant days that are in the 70s, 80s, and again, just kind of cooler evenings there. And then in the winter, the weather is much cooler. And so during the winter time, the temperatures get up to the 50s and 60s. They will get down into the 40s. Some days it'll get down into the 30s at night. So it will be much colder in the winter, much hotter in the summer. So you definitely get kind of that sense of the four seasons from a temperature perspective. Of course, you're going to get the rain in the winter time as well, but you can't really call out a difference on the weather between the two of them. All right, so those are your differences between Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek. I hope you found this video helpful. If I can be of any help to you at all regarding buying a home or selling a home, my number is popping up below. Again, I do answer all of my own phone calls, emails, text messages. I would love to be a resource for you. Please do not hesitate to reach out. With that being said, have a great week, and I will catch you on the next video.